The ad is not for you. The ad is not for me. The ad is not for conservatives or Christians or conservative Christians.
Is going to buy a razor for a company that is lecturing and scolding men with this ridiculous caricature of masculinity.
Sad, especially if you're a Christian and you say, oh no, they're promoting hippie Jesus. We all know this. We talk to our liberal relatives, have never read the Bible, they don't go to church, they don't pray, but they have this idea of hippie socialist Jesus in their heads.
Want to know a secret? These woke commercials aren't actually about equality. They're about selling you stuff. Shocking, I know. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video, but don't worry, Michael Knowles is here to spill all the tea. He's watched the worst offenders, so you don't have to. Prepare to laugh, cringe, and maybe even learn something about how these ads are messing with your head. So these big companies think they're geniuses with their progressive commercials, huh? Well, let me tell you, they're about as smart as a rock in a spelling bee. Let's take a look at some of these recent ads that got everyone talking, and not in a good way. Remember that Gillette commercial about toxic masculinity? Yeah, that went over like a lead balloon.
Gillette is shaving away toxic masculinity in a new ad campaign. We will examine the true causes of toxic masculinity.
They tried to lecture men about being better people while selling them razors. Surprise, surprise. It didn't work. Regular guys were rolling their eyes so hard they could see their own brains. And don't even get me started on that Pepsi ad with Kendall Jenner. You know, the one where she solves racism by handing a cop a soda. People weren't just unimpressed. They were downright angry. It's like these companies live in some alternate universe where real problems can be fixed with a fizzy drink and a smile. But here's the kicker. These ads aren't just annoying, they're bad for business. Gillette lost billions after their little social justice stunt.
One little bit of it. It's a new ad about toxic masculinity. They've jumped on the social justice warrior bandwagon. Here it is if you've missed it.
Turns out insulting your customers isn't a great sales strategy. Who knew? Now, you might be wondering what our boy Michael Knowles thinks about all this. Well, let me tell you, he's got some choice words. But before we get to that, picture this. A room full of ad execs patting themselves on the back for their brave and groundbreaking ideas. Meanwhile, the rest of us are changing the channel faster than you can say virtue signaling. So, what's the first woke ad that makes Michael Knowles lose it?
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get?
It's that Nike commercial with Colin Kaepernick. You know, the one where they act like kneeling during the national anthem is some kind of heroic act. Knowles isn't buying it. He says it's just another case of a big company trying to cash in on controversy.
They're feeding into an intersectional narrative. They're feeding into the main narrative we see now on the left, which is that there are hierarchies of victimhood.
But hold on to your hats, folks, because we're just getting started. These woke ads, they're about to get even more ridiculous. We're talking head-scratching, jaw-dropping levels of absurdity. And trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for what comes next.
Is going to buy a razor for a company that is lecturing and scolding men with this ridiculous caricature of masculinity.
Just when you thought Super Bowl ads couldn't get more controversial, along comes He Gets Us with a Jesus-themed commercial that's about as clear as mud. Is it possible to make both conservatives and liberals angry with a single ad about unconditional love?
Kind of minister, maybe a priest, maybe just a Protestant minister washing the feet of an obviously gay guy. Then it says, Jesus didn't teach hate. He washed feet.
Apparently it is, and we're about to show you how they pulled off this miraculous fumble. So what's the deal with this He Gets Us ad? It's supposed to be all about Jesus and love, but it's got everyone from pastors to politicians scratching their heads.
And there was one ad above all that was extremely controversial, and it elicited the most anger. The ad is not for you. The ad is not for me. The ad is not for conservatives or Christians or conservative Christians.
The commercial shows people washing each other's feet. Yeah, you heard that right. In all sorts of weird situations. There's even a scene outside an abortion clinic with protesters. Real subtle, guys.
They don't look cruel. They're not exactly the liberal caricature of abortion protesters.
Now, you'd think a commercial about Jesus would make Christians happy, right? Wrong. Andrew Walker from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary is not impressed. He says the ad's basically giving a thumbs up to sins that the left likes while ignoring everything else. It's like they cherry-pick Jesus' teachings to fit some woke agenda.
Think I am the only conservative Christian in America who did not totally despise this ad.
But wait, it gets better. The ad claims Jesus didn't teach hate. Sounds nice, right? Well, pro-life advocate Ryan Bomberger's not buying it. He says Jesus taught us to love what's good and hate what's evil. Disagreeing with someone doesn't mean you hate them. It's like these ad folks have never actually read the Bible.
Sad, especially if you're a Christian and you say, oh no, they're promoting hippie Jesus. We all know this. We talk to our liberal relatives.
And don't even get me started on what Allie Beth Stuckey had to say. This conservative commentator thinks the whole ad is a waste of time. She's saying if you're gonna talk about Jesus, at least get it right. Show him as the king and savior he is, not some wishy-washy nice guy who's cool with everything. Now here's the kicker. Our boy Michael Knowles actually thinks this ad might do some good. I know, I was shocked too. He's saying that even with all its problems, if it gets some non-believers thinking about Jesus, maybe it's not a total loss. But let's be real, it's still a pretty big mess.
Vaguely, sort of, not directly, not explicitly, but kind of promoting that vision of Jesus, and that's bad. Okay, I didn't totally hate this ad. I'm not, actually, I'm a man. But the commercials are all focused on brave, strong, beautiful woman.
So what's the deal with these ads missing the mark so bad? Why can't these companies figure out what people actually want? Stick around, because we're about to break it down. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Look, these woke ads aren't just annoying, they're straight up hurting the companies that make them. You'd think big corporations would learn, but nope. They keep pushing this stuff, and guess what? People are tuning out. Here's the thing, most folks just want good products.
This ad, just notice all of the subtle left-wing social justice warrior aspects.
Have never read the Bible, they don't go to church, they don't pray, but they have this idea of hippie socialist Jesus in their heads.
They don't need a lecture with their laundry detergent or a side of social justice with their soda. But these ad execs, they're living in some kind of bubble. They think everyone's as obsessed with this stuff as they are. Maybe it's time for these companies to actually talk to real people. You know, the ones who buy their stuff. Because right now, they're missing the mark big time. It's like they forgot the whole point of advertising is to sell things, not preach at people. And let's be real, this fake wokeness isn't fooling anyone. People can smell BS from a mile away. So here's some free advice for these companies. Focus on making good products, not virtue signaling. That's what'll keep customers coming back, not some half-baked attempt at looking progressive.